Queen Esther. Let me tell you a little something about my Bible character, Queen Esther. But first, let's start on what I'm wearing. I am wearing a long red dress with a gold design in the middle and around my neck, and a headband that symbolizes what Queen Esther wore before she became the queen.
The story of Esther begins with a grand banquet at the palace of King Ahasuerus, also referred to as King Xerxes. The king had become drunk on wine and commanded that his wife, Queen Vashti, come out before everyone to show how beautiful she was. Queen Vashti refused to be paraded before everyone. King Xerxes was so angry at her disrespect and disregard for his request that she divorced her. A Jewish woman named Esther was taken among other young women to a citadel. Esther's cousin Mordecai had taken Esther in and raised her as his own after Esther's parents had died. Esther's beauty won Haggai's favor and she was given special attention. Esther was careful, however, not to tell anyone of her nationality, as Mordecai had warned her not to. When it was Esther's turn to go before the king, he had immediately found her most beautiful and attractive and placed the royal crown on her head. King Ahasuerus held a great banquet for his new queen Esther. Esther continued to hide her Jewish nation as Mordecai had instructed her to do so, because he knew it would be dangerous if anyone found out she was a Jew. One night when Mordecai was sitting by the king's gate, he overheard two guards named Bigathan and Cherishus conspiring to assassinate the king Xerxes. Mordecai then refused to bow down to the Haman, the highest of all nobles. When the Haman found out about this and that Mordecai was a Jew, Haman became enraged with anger, and he wanted not to just kill only Mordecai, but all the Jewish nation. Mordecai told Esther about the king's edict to kill all Jewish people. Esther feared for her life and tried to avoid his request to do something. Esther responded by instructing all Jews to join her in fasting for 3 days and 3 nights. Then she will approach the king with her request. Queen Esther asked the king and Haman to join her at the banquet the next day. The king said yes. The king said yes and asked Esther to let her request be known at the banquet. Haman was still so enraged with Mordecai that he went to set up a pole to impale Mordecai the morning before the banquet. The king could not sleep that night and began to read the book that contained all that had happened during his reign. The king read and was reminded of how Mordecai exposed the plot to assassinate the king. Haman thought the king was talking about himself and responded by giving extravagant gift in his honor. The Haman was even more enraged when the king told him it was for Mordecai. The next day was the banquet Queen Esther had called for. The king again asked Esther what was her request so she could grant her what she wanted. Esther boldly asked that all her people be spared, and Haman had plotted to kill for all the Jews for money. The king was filled with anger against Haman and had him hanged on the very pole that Haman set up for Mordecai. Queen Esther and Mordecai was given Haman's estate, and they were honored with royal garments and a decree that was written to protect all Jews.